Good afternoon, everybody. How are we doing? Let me just check the audio's working and we'll get live. It's great to be back home after 3 weeks on the road. And today we're going to be really talking about what really matters. How do you get clients without referrals? I just want to make sure the live's actually working so everybody gets in okay. But how do we get those leads and clients without relying on referrals? And we're working, there we go. So what we're going to talk about is, and it's really important, referrals are the best type of leads. Let's just start with that. They are the gold standard. I love referrals. I love another client saying, hey, Dean, you can help this, but absolutely love it. Best kind of lead you can have. So don't misunderstand me when I say we're talking about how to get clients without referrals. But there is a problem with referrals. If you build a business, and I know many people who I chat with on social media, a lot of people who follow my content and do what I do, a lot of those people go, Dean, referrals are amazing. And most of the time I do okay just with referrals. But there's these moments, there's these times, these sticky moments where you go, this could be dangerous. And it is dangerous. It's dangerous just like Dean relying solely on LinkedIn as his main source of business. Dean relying solely on email as the source of business. My first business I started when I was 18. And when I started this business, I was full of enthusiasm, and some people I knew actually brought me some business, really good business actually. And I did okay with that. But a problem emerged that I got because there was no obvious problem. You know, there was customers ordering and stuff like that, and I was getting some deals through, and it felt great. What I didn't realize, I was storing up a problem because all of my business was reliant on these introductions. And here's what happened. That person changed jobs, moved out of the industry, so couldn't recommend me anymore. Second, one of the people she recommended me to, great client, but they went bust. And so I had this situation where I had a business that I'd built up on referrals, then lost a bit of business, then my referral contacts went out, and suddenly I had zero business. I had no viable business. Now, of course, it didn't happen all cataclysmic overnight. It actually, I let it roll. I let it go and go and go. Because there was no immediate problem. There was orders coming in. Why do I need to do anything? Don't need to do it just yet. And then, of course, it got a bit quieter, and I got, we have to do something, And I went into overdrive trying to do stuff, but I did it too late. And so I didn't really know what was working, what wasn't. I was just trying lots of stuff to try and make it work, but I didn't give myself enough time because of the urgency was building. I'd let it run too long. Because the urgency wasn't building, I just half-heartedly did it until it got really serious. And then I needed it to work in that moment, and I'd not done the work to prepare for it. I did a post on Facebook this morning where I said, most people don't realize that when you start marketing and building your business, you try a lot of things, but you have to ultimately come down and go, we're going to do it this way and we're going to make it work. And the first time you do something, it may not work as planned. The second time, it might not work as planned. You have to build up that skill set around developing your leads. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about some of the reasons why referrals can be difficult for you. The barriers. If you've had a lot of referrals, you know, I'm jealous. I want more referrals, right? Everybody wants more referrals, right? That's not the point. It's not referrals bad. It's the benefits of referrals, what they do to us, that causes us the problem. They make us a little bit complacent. They make us unprepared for marketing to an open market. And so our business doesn't have the infrastructure or the what's the proven process to actually acquire clients from a colder, less introductory basis. So you know all this. I'm not going to teach you, well, I'll teach you some new stuff a little bit later. But you know this already. You know if your business is heavily reliant on referrals, that you are in a vulnerable position. Now, that might not be a vulnerable position now. That might be a vulnerable position in 3 months. Nobody knows. But I can remember, I'll tell you an early days client story before we get into this. I was working with a business coach, and he had a lot of work from a bit of associate work, but he also had an ongoing contract with a big car manufacturer for doing leadership development. And he'd had this for years and years and years. And he came to me because he recognized this inherent vulnerability. And we chatted it through, and I said, right, here's what we can do on LinkedIn for you. Here's what we can do. Here's what we can do. Here's what, yeah, I want to do that. He committed the same mistake that I made in my first business. The complacency, the kind of, yeah, it'll be all right for another month. It'll be all right for another month. So this car manufacturer that he was heavily reliant on, I mean, not 100%, but, 50, 60%, scary proportions of his business. I said to him, we need to get you out there. We need to get you in front of more people. We need to get that message out there consistently. We need to get you in rooms, doing live workshops, all this kind of stuff. But what we found was, because the car manufacturer situation was not immediately a problem, he wouldn't take the actual bits to build the business on LinkedIn seriously. And so long gaps would go between us catching up with him. He wouldn't respond to emails. He wouldn't take anything seriously sometimes. Things would take too long. But also, he didn't want to do things that didn't work, which is kind of impossible, because when you're getting going and you're doing something new, sometimes it doesn't work. I'll give you an example of this from my point of view. Years and years and years ago, I used to do Facebook ads all the time. I stopped doing Facebook ads about 10 years ago. I started to get into them again this last few weeks. And oh my God, I found it overwhelming. I found it confusing. I can't be sure that what I'm doing is right or wrong, even though I've followed a few little videos to figure it out. I feel overwhelmed, out of my depth, and guess what? I'm not sure if it's going to work. What I do know is if I don't do it, it will never work. And other people who are in my industry and do similar things to what I do are making it work. So there's a journey I have to go on to crack it. Now, I'm doing this now to future-proof some things I'm doing in the future, some of the things I'm planning. I'm doing it, so there's no urgency to do it. I could just leave it, park it, or whatever. But I need to know this and get this ready and get this cracked before we get there. And the same is true with referrals. So one of the things, I've got a list of things here I want to talk about, like a list of things I want to talk about. And then I want to show you some stuff about how you can shift this. Because if you understand the problems that referrals do to you, they're great leads, but what do they do to you? If you understand that, you'll realize, oh my God, there are some things I need to fix. And I want to run you through this list, because if you see your scenario here, you have an alarm bell. And then in the second part of today, I'm going to show you what you need to do to fix that alarm bell. So the first one is, you don't understand how to position yourself in the open market. Now, the open market is very different from a referral, because the open market has no loyalty to you. no trust built, you have to prove your value in public. In the referrals, somebody else is doing that for you. Their reputation, their story, their experience is doing it for you. If you don't have that positioning that helps people see why they should buy from you and build that trust, you're missing it. So that's number one. Number two, how easily do you understand your customer's problem? Now you're going to go, some of you will go, oh, absolutely, I understand it. Do you? Because 15 years of doing this, I can tell you now, often the first thing is, if you've been reliant on referrals, the first part of the sales conversation where the prospect or potential client tells what their problem, you've been cut out of. You're not in it. So when you go on a sales call in the open market with a cold lead, I don't do cold leads, but you get my point. They're not referrals. They know you, but they're not referrals. When you go on a call with a cold lead, they will present to you a surface level issue that then through the course of that conversation, you will uncover and explain to them that this is really what's causing your problem. So there's two problems. There's the problem your target audience sees, and there's the problem that's actually going on. And often they're different. So in my scenario, people come to me and they go, Dean, I want to get more clients from LinkedIn or from social media or whatever they want to say. Often when I spend time with those people, it's basically they have never developed a process or their positioning. That's basically it. So if I am cut out of that first part of the inquiry, and I just get somebody coming to me saying, Dean, I want to buy, I need to get this sorted. You know, all I have to do is tell you what my program does and you buy. Brilliant for me, easy sale for me. But actually, I didn't understand what actually got you here, what motivated you to solve this problem. What was the surface issue that drove this activity from you? So one of the biggies that you will have is you don't see the problem from your customer's lived experience. You see it from the once they are solution aware. Different mindset. When you're in the open market, you will get people contacting you, reaching out earlier in the buying journey. When it's a referral, they're at the end of the buying journey. Different language, different way of thinking, different way of talking. And so what happens is a lot of people, coaches do this a lot, is basically you talk to people like they're a referral. You talk to people as if they're at the end of the buying journey, not the beginning or the early stages of it. And so what happens is the prospect goes, that's nice, and they go along with you and, oh, that's interesting, I can see how that. And they will basically be quite polite to you, but they have zero intention of buying. Not because they don't need what you do, but because you haven't connected to where they are in their journey. So that's a big, big issue for a lot of people who are reliant on referrals. Next thing, just because you get more visibility does not mean you get more demand. A lot of people think, oh, if I just get more visibility, I'll get more demand. And it's not true. You can get a lot of attention and get no conversion. Yeah, I will often tell my clients, don't focus on attention first, focus on conversion first, because you can scale that. But there are a lot of people who get a lot of attention online that make no money. So attention on its own is not a good metric to just shoot for. And then the next thing is, right, if you think about the effort to get a referral, it feels easier. It does feel easier. If somebody's done the work for you, it feels easier. And then when you have to go out and market and post content and do all this stuff, it feels like there's too much to do, too much to do. And that's like, it's true, isn't it? It feels like, which would you rather have? People just coming to you, you explaining what you do and them going, yeah, I'll buy that. Of course we want that. But that's the creme de la creme of sales bits and leads. If we want to have stability, if we want to have growth, we have to understand that the infrastructure, the work is different from a referral. A referral is basically work you've already done in satisfying another customer, another client. When you're going to market, you actually do that work up front. So the work doesn't change, but how you deliver it changes. Marketing is a different set of actions, and it feels like referrals are actually low effort leads. They are, except it wasn't low effort when you were working on that client. So you have to have a system to get clients with marketing. And then the final one, you're not going to like this one. If you're reliant on referrals, you are currently massively underestimating the risk of just keeping going. Just keep doing what you're doing. And at the same time, you're overestimating the risk of action. What if I fail? What if I do this and it doesn't work? So you're weighing up, this could be really risky, I could do all this work and it could come to nothing, but you're also underestimating the fact that if I just keep doing nothing and waiting for the leads to come to me, that could be just as dangerous. Yeah, when I started my business, I had no guarantee of success. I had to make a decision that I will make it work. And sometimes that meant I did some things that didn't work, but I learned something from it and took those learnings into the next thing and improved as I go. So there's about 7 or 8 different reasons why referrals are great, but also dangerous because of what they do to your business, what they do to your understanding of your customer and why people buy. If you have a warped perception of why people buy because you're getting a lot of people coming to you at the end of the buying journey, you will take that and put it into your marketing, and your marketing will fail. It will fail. If you treat the open market like you treat referrals, if you do the same messaging that you do with referrals in your content, in your profiles, in your outreach, whatever you're doing, it will fail. And then you'll start to question, do people need what I do? Should I do something else? Is this the right platform? And you will go through the cycles, and all the while you'll not realize the reason is the message is wrong. You can make any tactic, you can make any channel, any platform work if the message is right. If the message is wrong, no platform, no channel will work. So with that said, let's just dig into this and talk about, okay, how do we make it work? And I want to kind of doodle on the board today. So first things first, number one, yeah, your big priority is to actually sort out the message. Yeah. If you're reliant on referrals right now, you can't go into any kind of lead gen, you can't buy any agency services, you can't contract it out until you've figured out what your message is. That message is not just your content, that is how you position what you sell, that's how you position your profile, that's everything to do with your business. What's the message that the market needs to hear? And it has to be dialed in for people with short attention spans. So we'll just put here, short attention spans. Yeah. Now, why do we have to optimize for that? Because your biggest channels are going to be, depending on your industry, is going to be social media and email and ads. And outreach. Yeah. Any of those online channels to get to customers, their attention spans are going to be short. So you've got to think about this from their perspective. Think about it from their perspective. Why? Because you've got to understand and appreciate that they have zero loyalty to you, like zero loyalty. I realize I'm writing back to front. Somebody's just mentioned it in the chat. Let me see if I can do anything about that. I don't know whether I can do anything I might have to try and perfect writing back to front, but we'll see. So when you think about this, what you need to do is really consider, okay, I am trying to reach people. I can't put it back to front, but let me have a look. No, sorry guys, I don't know what's gone wrong here with the screen, but it's gone the wrong way round. So what you need to think about, I'll just do it without the slides, it's fine, is if they've got short attention spans, and you need to see it from their perspective, because you cannot get their attention unless you talk about what's in it for them, what motivates them. And that's about what they actually want. What do they really want? Deep down, what do they really, really want? And often we make the mistake of talking about things that then they don't want. They might need it, but they don't want it. So we need to get under the hood, so to speak, think like them, step into their shoes and really think about what do they actually want. And generally it's a core human driver. It'll be things like money, certainty, health. It's a common factor. Even when you're selling to corporates, it will come down to brass tacks, one of the core human drivers. So what is the human want driver behind that problem? What do they really want? So for me, for an example, people want clients, they want leads, but actually what they need is a clear message. Yeah, because that is what they put out there to get the clients. But if I say, hey, you need a better message, publicly, people will go, no, I don't, I just need clients. And so you could miss people because basically you're looking at their world from the outside in, when to get them to engage with you, to get them to pay attention to you, you have to look at it from the outside, the inside out. So you have to look at the world through their eyes. And you have to say, and your copy, your message has to land from their perspective, use their words, their language. Now, after today, I do have a little tool and a little mini course called the Signal Message Framework. And it helps you do this. It's got a brutal AI tool. And I say brutal because I created this because I was working with a client and I said to him, what do you do? What problem do you solve? And he answered me and says, I help my clients get clarity. Two problems there. I said, that's not a problem. Clarity is not a problem. You've just told me you help people get something. That's not the problem. That's an outcome. So that's the first thing that he did. Clarity is not a problem. I help people get clarity is not a problem. It's a solution. Second thing, it's the most generic, boring shit, basically, outcome statement I've ever seen. Nobody is wandering around going, if I just had more clarity. Clarity is the process by which people get what they want. People buy what they want. They'll only buy what they need to get to what they want. I just said a profound statement there. People buy what they need to get to what they want. So you market what they want and show them what they need to get there. Not the other way around. You don't sell what they need to get there and don't tell them how it gets them what they want. So you've got to really think about what they want. I know it's back to front. I'll flip the video for the recording. What do they want? What do they really, really want? Now, when you're thinking about clients, I help people get clients and win clients. They want, atypically, they want more certainty because maybe client acquisition's been inconsistent. They want more money, yeah. And also, they want to be picky about how they get clients. No icky outreach, no pushy pitches, no chasing their tail on social media, spending hours on social media. And there's another one. They don't want to use paid ads. So there's a list of wants with caveats. I want clients, but without this, without this, without this, without this. I know what people want. So my job is to package up my services to help them get what they want by delivering what they need. My services deliver the bits that help people get clients. I don't deliver them clients, but my thing will help them get clients. I have to talk about the clients and bring them to what I do, not the other way around. So this is the first big problem, the message. So I've got a little mini course I can share with you. It's called the Signal Framework. It's like $40 or something like that. It's got a brutal AI tool you can use, and it will basically, if you put into it, I help people get clarity, she will come back to you and say, that's not good enough. And if you go, okay, well, what does good look like? She will bounce back ideas for you. So the idea is that it stops you kind of thinking in your own world and starts to think like a customer. And there's a questionnaire that goes with it, the AI tool, and you fill in that questionnaire, and that questionnaire then becomes how you build your offer off that, you build your landing pages off it, you build your content strategy off it. All of that will basically give you the message that will resonate. So this is the first big one. If you don't get that right, it all goes wrong. Number two, the second thing you need, is a proven, repeatable process to get clients. Now I'm going to send you a little QR code or a little link to basically find that path. A repeatable process is a way that you can, and I'll talk about this in two ways. It's a method of capturing leads and taking them on a journey, number one. Capturing leads. How do I capture leads? How are you going to do that? Because there's a lot of different ways, and you've got to get good at capturing leads. So it's efficient and not sucking every moment of your day and every ounce of your existence trying to get leads. So you need a process. I teach my clients one of 5. There are 5 that work everywhere. Demand creation content, email and newsletter, relationship-led selling, a bit more salesy, but it's okay. And then we've got hyper-targeted outreach, it's salesy, but it's good salesy. I've never had negative feedback from it, from any clients. It's very targeted, very focused, very relevant, but you don't do it in large volumes, like 10 a day tops. And then final, lives and events. So they're 5 that work anywhere. They work on email, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, everywhere. So they'll work anywhere. They don't need a big audience because you're playing the relevance game, not the reach game. You're not trying to be an influencer, you're trying to make money. Yeah, that's the difference. There is a difference there. It's not the same thing. So there's 5 different ways you can do it, but which way you do it depends on you. Which are you most comfortable with? If I said to you, I could get you 10 clients in the next 60 days, but you have to send outreach messages. You might go, oh, well, I don't mind 10 clients. That sounds fantastic. I want 10 clients. Let's do it, Dean. But then when it comes to actually sending the messages, you might go, ooh, I don't want to send that. What if this? What if that? What if the other? And then guess what happens? You water the message down because you feel uncomfortable doing it. You water it down to the state where it doesn't even work. So you've got to find a path that works for you. Now, I tend to like doing the lives. I enjoy doing them. I never used to, but I enjoy doing them. I like coming, talking to you guys, giving information, helping you, hopefully helping you think a little different. So I enjoy doing this. I didn't at first, but now I do. I love it. I had to restrain myself this morning because I wanted to go live this morning because I haven't gone live in ages. So I like doing this format. That's what you need to find, a format you enjoy doing. Now, it might be you like writing long form newsletters and emails. That's fine. It might be you actually want to do that sniper approach where you send 5-6 messages a day and book a call a day. Fine. But you need to pick a path. Pick a path, one of those 5. I'll send you the quiz. If you want to message me, I can give you the quiz, but you need to pick a path. Yeah, not play around at all of them. Pick one. And like I said at the beginning, one of them might not be perfect the first time round. Like content, for example. I was speaking at an event in Manchester yesterday, and I was talking to a lady who was sharing the stage with, Holly. Really cool what she's done. She travels all over the world, and she's built her business off posting content. But it took her some time. She was on stage sharing her story. It took her some time to actually figure out the whole content piece. She didn't just quit. She actually had to learn what worked and what didn't. And now she's one of the global influencers in the legal world. Why? Because she had to learn what worked. So you have to pick a path and learn how to make it work. How do you make it work? Yeah, that mean you may fail first time. That means you fail second time. You know, I know he's a controversial figure and a lot of people don't like him anymore, but you can still marvel at his achievement. You know, Elon Musk, I think he's launching SpaceX as it's going stock market listed today, I believe. And it's going to be, what is it, 1.8 trillion it's worth. He'll be the first trillionaire on Earth. Yeah. So you look at that and go, whoa, what does he need with what being a trillionaire, right? Who needs to be a trillionaire? And valid argument. The point is, look at how many rockets failed. How many rockets failed before it became viable? And it's still not everything that he wants to do is done. So you have to commit to a process. If you can't, I'm just going to be brutal here. If you can't commit to finding how to make something work, and you keep chopping and changing and trying to find something secret strategy, we know there's no quick wins. We know there's no easy answers. But if you keep looking for them, it's a sign that you're not being very mature. And I know this is brutal and you might not like it and you might switch me off and you might remove me on LinkedIn or Facebook. But there's a whole industry out there working to sell you course after course after course because they know that most people don't do the work and don't finish the work. They just jump to the next thing because sometimes learning is easier than doing. You don't face failure by learning. You face failure in doing. And I failed plenty of times. But I didn't get good at anything without sticking to it and saying, do you know what, I'm going to do it over and over and over again. I must have done, in terms of lives, I must have done now 700 lives. 700 lives. So the reason I feel comfortable in this medium now is because I've done it that many times. So you're going to have to learn how to get it to work. And that's why I do what I do. I'll tell you a little bit about why I do what I do in a minute. But whichever path you pick, and I will send you the links to do it, you're going to have to commit to becoming more. If all you've got so far is business from referrals, that's great. And if that continues, great. But if it doesn't, you don't have a viable business. You don't. So you have to acquire the new processes and the new skills to actually make your business referral proof, so that actually they are the icing on the cake, not the cake. Because if you make something that you don't control, in effect, a referral dependent business has uncontrollable demand. And that sounds good, it's not. Uncontrollable demand means you have zero control over your revenue. Zero. If I'm using Facebook and I'm using LinkedIn and Facebook shuts down, I've got LinkedIn. I've got my email list. I've got this, I've got that, I've got the other. Believe it or not, if I got banned, hopefully not. I was at an event yesterday and I was talking about LinkedIn and I said some things. I was very nervous because there was somebody senior in LinkedIn in the room and I was like, ooh. But let's say I got banned from LinkedIn tomorrow. Hopefully not. Would my business suffer from that a little bit, but not a lot. If I'm an influencer and I've built out my platform on LinkedIn and I get banned, my business is over. Now you go, yeah, it doesn't make sense to build on rented ground. Well, referrals are the same thing. It's the diversification. So if you've got referrals, putting LinkedIn and Facebook alongside it is a good start. I would not recommend to anybody trying to tackle many, many channels at once. It's a recipe for burnout, it's a recipe for overwhelm, and it's a recipe for failure. So what you want to do is pick one path and learn how it works and commit to making it work. If it's Facebook, it's Facebook. If it's LinkedIn, it's LinkedIn. If it's email, it's email. If it's newsletters, newsletters. It does not matter which one it is. You just have to pick one that you're going to own and dominate. So that's the big thing. You've got to get those leads, a path to leads. Yeah, you've got to get leads. Now this final one, number 3, even people without referrals have this problem. So even if you don't get leads from referrals, even if you're cold outreach or whatever you're doing, this next one is the one that trips everybody up, particularly on social media. Conversion. Conversion. Right? What do I mean by that? You get a lead and it doesn't convert. You get leads and they don't convert. Right? This is very, very common because people don't study why people buy. Often it's linked to the message because the message is part of the conversion process. And there's kind of 3 parts to this. Yeah. So you've got a lead here in number 2. There's A, P, D. What I call LAPD. I've made a mess of this board, but it's all right. It's back to front for you guys. It's called LAPD. You capture leads, then you've got to get those leads into an appointment or a call. That is not just as simple as inviting people on a call. Yeah, you will get non-responses. Even if they're inbound leads, if you just say, hey, let's have a call, and you treat it just about the call, you will get a large percentage of those people, even though they're inbound leads, will not go on a call. How you move somebody from a lead to an appointment is actually about momentum. You've got to help them see that they've took one step. It's not guaranteed that they're going to take the next step. You have to set up a system that will help people. And people will come on a call with you because they see that this is another step towards getting what they want. And you see the point. You don't know what they want, you can't do this bit. So some people can get loads of leads. They'll throw money at Facebook ads and all sorts of stuff, get loads of leads and still can't convert them because they've brute forced their lead magnet out there and then trying to connect it up to get them on a call, it doesn't work. So you capture the lead, you've got to then get them on an appointment. And that's about momentum. Keeping them to see that the next step is actually, this is the next step on them figuring out if they can reach their goal, what they want. Now, on the appointment as well, yeah, which we come to the P, which is proposal. On the appointment, the prospect will actually tell, if you listen and you structure that appointment well, the prospect will literally tell you the words, the trigger points that will get them to buy. They will literally tell you. And if you dive into explaining what you do, you will not allow the prospects to articulate what they want. And that is ultimately why they will buy. They will buy to get to what they want, and they will tell you in that call how to close them. They'll tell you if you do that call right. Some people call it spin selling, some people call it all different things, but ultimately you have to discover their situation, what's going on for them, where they want to be, because your P, proposal, is about then basically explaining back to them how they can get to where they want to be using your process. using your service. Starts from where they want to be, and you pull it back to what you can deliver to get them there. And you have to show them how every part of what you're doing will get them there. But if you don't let them tell you where that is, where they are now and where they want to be, if you don't get that detail, you will just basically give them a quote and they'll go, yeah, that's nice. I'll think about it, yeah. Well, maybe I don't have the budget right now. And they'll give you all sorts of reasons, and they're just being polite for, I didn't see the value. Most of the people who come on the calls and they waste your time, they're not wasting your time, in fact. You're wasting theirs, because they've come on the call and you've not taken the time to understand what their real situation is, what's really going on for them, what's important to them. And so when you're proposing your services, you're either generically doing it or you're touching the wrong points and they're going, I'm sure it's good, but it's not quite a fit for what I need or what I want. That's what happens, because the proposal bit, the way you run that call, the way you do that appointment, you've got to get them on the call. The way you do that proposal in that call actually is wrong. So see this all the time. People think, oh, I got a lead, I'll ask them to go on a call, even if they get them on a call, and then they just blabber, hey, I do this and I do this and I do this, and the prospect's going, when will this end? But they won't say that, they'll just be polite. So that's the proposal. Yeah, so it's got to, again, be linked to what they want. Now, when you finish that call, obviously you want to give people next steps. But once that call's over, if you've done those questions and really uncovered what they really want and done that, the prospect will leave that call excited about what could happen. Excited because they feel understood, they feel like you've got something that can help them get where they want. They will feel excited coming away from that call and motivated to want to do something. But once they leave that call, life comes back to bite them on the ass. And they get into the crap, the weeds of everything. They're into the detail of their day-to-day. Other stuff's coming at them. So there's all this stuff flying at them. And that conversation that was so good gets pushed down to the bottom, lost in all of this other anxiety, stress, and everything. And so what happens is, in most times, your excitement, your proposal, all of that detail that they were very excited about on the call gets flattened out because they lose sight of it in amongst the day-to-day. They just get on with the day-to-day, they have to deal with it. And so all the stuff that was good on that call that was like, yeah, we should do this. I think this is good. We're just waiting for the whatever. That momentum gets lost by reality. So you lose that momentum. So to get that to a deal, you have to keep that momentum for them. So it's a proven stat, 44% of people follow up a proposal or a prospect once. But the majority of clients close between 3 and 5 follow-ups. So often we'll put a proposal in and then follow up and say, what happened? How's it going? Do you still want to do it? And what we've done, we've gone transactional again. We've started talking about what we do and saying, hey, do you want to move forward? You have to remind them why they want to move forward. You have to bring that excitement back in them. So your follow-ups and what you're doing should not be just chasers. They need to be things that are actually keeping people's excitement moving forward, that this is going to help them, that they'll look back on this time in 6 months' time and feel positive about it. All of that stuff needs to be rolled in. Otherwise, you're basically just letting it all fizzle out and hoping that their logic is going to keep them moving. People don't buy logically. They buy emotionally first, and then the logic supports it. And if they've got a load of stuff going on at the same time, and I can guarantee you I've got a lot of stuff going on at the same time, I've had calls with people where there's been priorities, and for whatever reason, it got buried, it got lost. So you have to keep that momentum going. So how you do that follow-up to the proposal really does matter. You can't just wait and hope. And also you can't hope that their logic will just kick in and say, this is sensible. It's logical to not let this slip. It doesn't work that way. So you need to keep the momentum again here. Otherwise you lose them. So what we've been talking about is actually a business infrastructure. It's not just marketing, it's infrastructure. It's building your business like a factory. And a factory has repeatable processes to build customers, to collect payments, to onboard new customers, to deliver the right quality of stuff for the customers. There's all these processes, yet a lot of businesses don't have the front-end processes nailed. They will tinker to the nth degree about how do we deliver a good job for clients and not do the same work to get a good intake and a good acquisition system for clients. Starts with the message, then you need the lead generation process. How do we do that? And then there's the conversion process. Very predictable processes. And you should be, if you think about it, you want your clients to have the same quality of experience in terms of delivery. You want to have the same structure and quality of experience on lead capture and conversion, because then you can track those statistics and go, how do we improve? How do we get better? Where's the weak spots that we need to work on? These are systems. Systems aren't sexy until they make you money. It's just true. Nobody wants a system until they realize, oh my God, I could make way more money and probably work less doing it. But sometimes the overwhelm of the system, building a system, is too much, and it feels more comfortable to not. I know that. I've been there. If you don't have a system to acquire clients, you are in the hands of your referrals, which are great leads until they don't come, or until somebody retires or changes jobs. So the message is like, if you came to me now and said, Dean, I want to join your accelerator, the first section of the accelerator is the message. We got a little mini course on it, but on the accelerator, we help you build it one-to-one. Why? Because why would you not want to get that right? Because everything flows out of that. All your lead gen, all your conversion flows out of it. So if you get that wrong, it all fails. But this is systems, a message that scales, that does the work for you, does the heavy lifting. Then you've got to have that path to get leads, to get pipeline, and then you've got to be able to convert it. There are three processes. One is more once and done. This is an ongoing process, and this is an ongoing process that you have to get right. And the better you get it, the more leads you get, and the higher conversion you get. And I'll give you an example. I've got a client who does the hyper-targeted outreach in this section here, the lead gen path. 43% meeting booking rate. 43%. Doesn't even need to do many at that rate. 43%. The message is right. The message is right. So then when you bolt the message onto a process, the process works. And then his follow-up process on the back of it. Again, maintaining the momentum. So there's three parts we have to get right. If today you've been prompted by some things here and you're thinking, actually, Dean, you're talking a lot of sense. Number one, I'll send you the signal message framework with the AI tool. I'll send you a link. It's $40, I think it is. So you can go grab that. Number two, if you want to build these structures here, my accelerator can help you. I do not want you struggling for another 6 months when I know you could work with me for 6 months and we'd have leads coming through and it'd be the best decision you make, because we are actually 6 months away from 2027. So between now and 2027, we could be getting leads so that 2027 is the best year you've ever had in business. That's why my accelerator is there. I don't want you hesitating. I want you to, if you're not getting leads, you need the accelerator. No ifs, no buts. Yeah, because we will help you build that system. And we'll help you build this system too. Because without these two systems, you are 100% reliant on referrals and luck. And I've been there. It's not good. So Signal Framework, I'll send you a link to that. It's $40. But if this system here isn't there, you cannot afford to go another 6 months tinkering around, playing around. You need to build infrastructure so that you're not wasting time. You're building an asset that works for you over and over again. And there's people on the call today will go, Dean, I'm just going to keep going. Okay, just understand that what the risks are of that. What the risks might be if you just keep going. Because it might be that in 6 months' time, or 3 months' time, or a month's time, that lead doesn't come. That referral doesn't come. And then you have to scramble and build this on the fly in an emergency. This is not a good place to build this stuff in an emergency because it means it has to work fast. It has to be perfect. All the flaws in the system. And I'm just being realistic, right? You build something like this, if you've never built it before, there's going to be flaws in the system. That's why we work with clients, to try and knock them out. Otherwise, they try and knock them out themselves and they feel overwhelmed, confused, and go, oh, let's buy another magical course and hopefully that'll work. So here's what I want you to do. I'm going to send you the follow-up. I want you to re-watch this video because I've just given you something that will transform your business, literally transform your business. Number two, if you feel like your message is off, the best $40 you're going to get is that, and I'll send it to you. If the system and infrastructure is missing, you need our accelerator. You can find it on my profile. You can go to maverick.io, MAVERRIK.io. I could put it on screen, but I'm not going to do because I want you to go and take the initiative and go, it's your business. I'm in control. I'm a grown-up. I can find Dean Seddon, go and find the Social Selling Accelerator, go look at it and go, do I need this? Do I have the infrastructure in place? You're grown-ups. But that's what I want you to do. I will send you the stuff, but you need to watch this video again because albeit you might have come here going, I want a secret strategy that's going to change my life, and I just do 3 little boxes, tick 3 little boxes, and I'm a millionaire. You know that doesn't work. You know that doesn't exist. It's in infrastructure. It's systems and processes that actually make you money. I could dress it up and give you a whole jazzy thing of here's how much money I make and let me show you screenshots. And it would probably help me make more money. But I want grown-ups in the room. I want to work with grown-ups. And you guys are grown-ups. I looked at the people signed up. You're grown-ups. You don't need me to do all that silly stuff. So thank you for joining me. Apologies for my little direct today. I just thought I'd be straight with you guys. Referrals, fantastic. Love them. Want more of them. Also, if I build on them, I am building a house of cards that could fall over. And I've shown you today, with my flipped whiteboard, I've shown you today how you can get rid of that problem so that you have security, so you have financial stability, so you have growth, so you have predictability, because that's what really matters. Thank you for joining me today. I appreciate you coming on, appreciate you taking the time to be with me. I will send you all the links, but if you want them, DM me. But thank you for joining me.